All right, welcome back. Here's Don Aaron talking about that scene in Madison.
Yes.
All right.
Ready.
At 3:45 this morning, there was a report of shots being fired on South Gallatin Pike. It appears that the initial gunfire between individuals, not police officers, occurred at an apartment complex near 333 South Gallatin Pike. As officers responded to that, a flex unit actually spotted a gunman outside a beauty supply store on South Gallatin Pike. Looking at that officer's car, it looks like the gunman fired at his vehicle. The vehicle has 3 bullet strikes on the passenger side, not holes, but strikes, indicating perhaps that bullets may have bounced off the pavement into that officer's car. That officer radioed that he had spotted the gunman outside the beauty supply store. Among the responding officers to that alert was Field Training Officer Jason Sweeney, assigned to the Madison precinct. The report was that the gunman had fled up Madison Street from South Gallatin Pike. As Officer Sweeney approached the fire hall at Madison and Douglas Streets, he saw the gunman at the front of the fire hall near picnic tables. The gunman saw Officer Sweeney, who was in uniform in a marked police car. Officer Sweeney got out. The gunman ran around to the left side of the building near an alcove. As Officer Sweeney rounded the corner, he saw the gunman saw him. The gunman leveled his pistol at Officer Sweeney. Officer Sweeney fired. The gunman was struck in the midsection and is now being treated at Vanderbilt University Medical Center. The gunman's name at this juncture is not determined. From the information at the hospital, he was not carrying any identification. So we're continuing in our efforts to identify this man. Officer Sweeney has been with the police department for a number of years. Again, he is a field training officer, which means he actually trains police officers who have just graduated from the academy. He is the only officer who fired. The investigation is continuing, and we'll have more information for you later in the day.
How long did that chase ensue around the area?
From the time the gunman ran, well, it wasn't very long. The gunman actually ran from South Gallatin Pike up Madison Street to the fire hall. Now, the gunman also has an injury, perhaps a gunshot wound to one of his hands. It is the current belief that that wound or injury occurred outside of the fire hall incident, that perhaps it was the gunfire on South Gallatin Pike earlier in the morning that resulted in that injury.
Don, more on that apartment shooting. Was anybody else hurt in that? Was anybody else shot?
Not that we know of. We're still fleshing out details on that. We're still trying to ascertain exactly what happened there at the apartment complex. But suffice it to say that one of the persons involved, the gunman, actually came onto South Gallatin Pike and was standing outside a beauty supply store when he fired at an unmarked flex unit. There are shell casings, 3 or 4 shell casings outside the beauty supply store, and that unmarked police car has 3 bullet strikes to the passenger side.
Are there other suspects?
For another suspect as far as that apartment, the original shooting?
Well, we have officers now at the apartment complex trying to speak with persons there to ascertain exactly what happened there. The details of the apartment complex incident are still somewhat in flux.
What about Officer Sweeney? Is he now on administrative leave? Is that the protocol at this point?
Anytime a police officer is involved in a shooting such as this, they are placed on routine administrative assignment. Officer Sweeney for today will be working with our shooting team, with our investigators. He will be going over the events of this morning, and ultimately he will meet with police department counselors to make sure that he's okay before he returns to work. But for now, he is on routine administrative assignment. As the shooting investigation progresses, he will not be placed back on regular duty until the preliminary shooting investigation is completed.
Should people in the area be concerned because there might be other suspects involved in the early morning shooting?
Well, again, what happened at that apartment complex is still being determined. It appears that the gunman was involved in some type of incident at the apartment complex and for whatever reason fired several shots at an unmarked police car before he fled toward the fire hall. The circumstances of what he was involved in this morning, the full circumstances have not yet been determined.
Were firefighters in the fire hall this morning at that time?
I don't know. I don't know if they were on a run or if they were actually in the building. I don't know that.
Was that suspect by himself when the officer engaged him?
Was he by himself?
Yes. Was he the only person around? Or
Yes.
were there other witnesses?
Yes.
Okay. And what is the suspect's condition at this point at the hospital?
Well, he has a gunshot wound to the midsection and is being treated at Vanderbilt. I have not heard from doctors at Vanderbilt yet this morning.
Would that be non-life-threatening injury at this
Well,
point?
again, I have not heard from the doctors at Vanderbilt. I know he has a gunshot wound to the midsection and some type of wound or injury to a hand, which we believe occurred as a result of prior activities in the morning.
Don, how long can drivers expect these lanes to be closed?
Well, the police department shooting investigation is going to take place for much of the morning. And again, the gunman's initial shots at the unmarked police car occurred right here on Gallatin Road. There's a silver unmarked police car that is stopped in the right lane here of Gallatin Pike. And there are shell casings on the sidewalk outside that police car. So that is part of the overall investigation. So we're going to be here for the next several hours.
And Officer Sweeney doesn't have any physical injuries?
That's correct.
And did you say which apartment complex?
I don't know that. I don't know the name of it yet at this point.
Do you know which apartment number it was, which building?
I'm surmising that much of this occurred outdoors. But again, we have officers at the apartment complex trying to take as much information as they can from residents and witnesses there. All right?
Thank you very much, Don.
Okay.
All right, that's Don Aaron, Metro Police spokesperson, kind of recapping what we know about the shooting scene in Madison this morning. As Don pointed out, several locations. The incident at the apartment complex, which started this whole thing, and then the shots fired at that beauty supply store, which near there, which is, of course, along Gallatin Pike. And then ultimately the suspect at the firehouse there, where he apparently leveled his pistol at Officer Jason Sweeney. Sweeney, a field commander, fired back, hitting the suspect in the stomach. Suspect not identified.
That's right. All right.